Flint Board of Education, um, special board meeting January 15th, 2021 at 3:00 p.m. I would like to call Flint, no, it's actually 3:06 p.m. I would like to call the Flint Board of Education school board meeting to order at 3:06 p.m. Roll call. As I call your name, please reply present for the public record. Vice President Terry.
Present.
Secretary Green.
Present.
Treasurer McIntyre.
Present.
Trustee McNeil.
Present.
Trustee Wright.
Present.
And myself present, Carol McIntosh. At this time, the board would like to hear comments from the public. Members of the public are reminded that the Board of Education, by its bylaws 1370, is not under obligation to answer questions, make statements, or comments in response to issues raised by the public in general. Such issues will be referred to the superintendent for investigation, study, or recommendation. Are there any public members that wish to address the board? You can raise your hand or submit a comment in the chat section to alert Stephen that you would like to speak. At that time, he will state your name. Prior to unmuting your microphone, you will have 3 minutes to address the board. Please remember to restate your name and address for the public record before you begin speaking. And please let Stephen advise you. Stephen, are there any public comments? Anybody in there?
Good afternoon, board. I currently have no public comments, but if I would, I'd like to explain what may happen during this, because this is the first time we've had to do this virtually. When you call on your interviewee, I'm going to make them a panelist. I assume that you would all like to see who you are interviewing. And then to let the interviewees know what I may have to do, because I'm not sure if I can put them back into the attendees side of the board meeting, I may end up having to dismiss them, which at that time they should be able to just log back in how they did previously if they would like to continue listening and viewing the board meeting.
Oh, so you're saying, let me make this, so after they're interviewed, you're logging them back to the public portion of the meeting.
Right, I'm not sure because this is new for me. We haven't had to do it yet. Okay. I may have to kick them out of the meeting completely if I cannot actually put them into the attendee section.
Okay, then so should we just advise them that they might have to log back in through the public meeting?
Yes, that is a potential. Yep.
Okay, wait a second. I'm not
Sure.
you, Carol. I'm sorry. I'm yelling. Sorry, Carol.
Go ahead.
So, okay, I just got like 3 phone calls from people from the public, and I think I missed you guys talking about how they can get in. I missed something.
Oh, sorry. I was just trying to explain that we've never had to bring someone as a panelist before from the audience.
Okay.
And then replace them to the audience. So I'm not sure if it will work. So I just wanted to give the candidates the heads up that I may have to potentially kick them out of the meeting as a panelist, at which point they can just log back in the same way they did originally to rejoin as an attendee.
And tell them to, and the candidates, they were given a link by me, so they can go back to that email and then rejoin, and we will, reconnect them.
Yes.
I am now.
Sorry?
What? Ms. Green. Okay. I think we may have lost her. Okay, you said we don't have any people from the public that want to make comments or speak.
That is correct. There's no comments or questions at this time.
And that's what I was trying to say. It is people from the public trying to speak, and they saying they can't get in to speak, or so it's not an option for them to speak. I just got 3 phone calls, but that's what I was trying to explain.
I understand.
Do you have their name?
I didn't. Should I get names? I didn't even ask them their name. I just hung up because I was yelling. I don't know if y'all heard
Oh.
me.
We heard you.
Heard you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. For some reason, it is disabled. To the
Right.
audience members, I've re-enabled the hand raising ability.
Okay.
Please click that button if you'd like to ask a question.
Okay, let's figure that out. Okay, so they should see it, I guess. I don't know. Okay,
Sorry
thank you.
about that. Sorry about
That's all
that.
right.
So we'll just pause for a minute.
Yes. So what do you think, we should give them like 2 minutes or so, or are we required to, we probably be required to give them more than that because it's a public meeting? How long do you think we should wait? Is Kendall still in here?
That's what we normally give them, is 2 minutes, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't recall.
Public comment is 3 minutes.
3 minutes,
Right.
okay.
Anyone raising their hand?
That's what I'm
Or-
saying. That's what I'm saying. How long are we going to wait for them to raise their hand?
Oh, understood. I'm not entirely sure how this works. If anyone has a question, please in the question section just type your name or type "I have a question" and I will unmute you through that way.
Okay, so let's give them a couple minutes. Or is it possible for me to read this next section and
Yeah,
while
go ahead and do that. Go ahead and read for the public, how we're gonna proceed, and then we'll have Stephen check again.
okay. Did somebody say something? No. The board received 12 applications for the board vacancies that will be interviewed, and we will be interviewing 11 applicants. This is the process the board will follow to conduct the interview. There will be 2 rounds. Each board member will be using a rating sheet as a guide to score and evaluate the candidate's response. Each candidate will be asked 1 question by each board member for a total of 6 questions. Once all candidates have answered their questions, each board member will state the total score of each candidate. Superintendent Stewart will tabulate the results and announce the top 3 candidates to continue on to round 2. Round 2. The top 3 candidates will be asked 1 additional question by each board member for a total of 6 questions. Each candidate will be allowed to make 1 final statement to the board before concluding their round 2 interview. Once all 3 candidates have completed their interview, the board will discuss and tabulate their overall scores. At that point, myself will ask each board member to state the name of their top candidate. The candidate with the majority of the votes will be recommended to fill the vacancy. Our candidates are in here now, right?
It looks by my count, it looks like the majority, if not all of them, are in the session. Yes.
Okay, and we didn't have any questions from the public, right?
I'm still not seeing any. I didn't get any names through the questions section
Okay.
or the chat section or any raised hands.
Okay, well, at this point, we'll move on. If we get some, we ask that again at the end too, right? As I recall. So the public is reminded that you may also send an email to FBOE@flintschools.org to have your comments read at the board meeting. Thank you. Okay, our candidates in here now, Mo?
Yes,
Okay.
so you should announce. Yep.
Okay, candidates, you were provided a randomly selected number as Superintendent Stewart will pull a number out of a bowl. You will be announced. Stephen will unmute you and your interview will begin. The board welcomes and encourages all candidates to share your camera during your interview time. Should you have any questions, please ask before the line of questioning begins. Let's get started. All righty, Superintendent Stewardess, it's on you.
Thank you very much, Board President. Before we get started, Monica, I know you said that we had one candidate who has backed out. Can you tell me that candidate number again?
Yes, the candidate number, what random was 6.
6. All right. Thank you. And it would be that 6 was my first number, so let's do it again.
Okay.
Seven. Candidate number 7, you are up.
And hello,
Wait,
Stephen.
just 1 second, Ms. McIntosh, or Miss, yeah, let me make sure that Stephen gets them in, okay?
Okay,
Yep, I do show, Monica did send me the list, so candidate number 7 is Abel Delgado. So we'll go ahead and bring them in as a panelist.
okay.
Okay. Abel, you are now in, camera is available, and you are self-muted on your microphone.
Okay.
You hear me now?
Okay. Oh, yes.
All right.
All right.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. How's everybody doing?
I'm fine. The board would like to thank all applicants for coming today and participating in the interview. We were pleased with the number of people interested in serving as a board member for the Flint Community School District. All righty. So Abel, are you prepared for our first question?
Go ahead.
All right. Describe to us if there is anything. All right, question. Describe to us if there is anything that would affect your qualifications to serve on the Flint Community School Board or to interact with students.
Yeah, are you saying if there's anything that will get in the way from that at all?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think there will be anything. I think if anything, I would be a great asset, and I would, it would be the polar opposite of that. So,
Okay. Next, we will go to Miss Perry to ask her question. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Ms. Nita Stewart, is this part of yours? Are you gonna call on us to ask too, or should I do that?
You should do that unless you need some support in that.
No, I can. Okay. Miss Perry, you're up next to ask Abel your question.
there, I think you're on mute.
Okay,
I'm
Miss
sorry.
Perry.
I'm sorry. Mr. Delgado, what do you see as the role of a school board member?
I think I touched a little bit on that in the application. But I think the biggest role is really realistically to, besides provide a healthy educational system within our community, I think it's to provide social services within this community during a global pandemic. I mean, we see the circumstances right now. Obviously, our students can be achieving much higher academically. And I think that, very broadly speaking, I think there's a lot that as a school board we can do to affect our community and bring about change.
Thank you.
Next we will go to Miss Diane Wright.
Thank you, Miss McIntosh. Hello, Mr. is it Delgado?
Yep.
Okay. At times, you may be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold as a board trustee. How will you handle this?
Well, I have experience lobbying and organizing through not many, but through about 5-6 years through my experience at local, state, and some federal and national levels to address those differences. whether it be through Young Democrats of America, whether it be through Flint City Council, whether it even be through me serving on the Flint Community Advisory Task Force, or anything local. Realistically, I think I've been able to, despite any political views, be able to make sure that we can come to some sort of compromise, for lack of a better term, to address the issues that need to be addressed in a timely fashion.
Right, thank you.
Board Member Secretary Green.
Hello, Mr. Delgado. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, thank you. What contributions can you make to the school district?
I mean, I think the biggest contribution that I can bring is being able to sit down at the table and work with other elected officials more than anything. I have the support of Dominic Clemens, who was recently elected to the County Board of County Commissioners and is vice chair there. And we've already discussed possibilities to improve Flint Community Schools by working through other departments in the county, among many other things. That's just one aspect. I mean, as you can see through my application, I've sat on countless boards within the past 2 years, and I think that in itself will be able to bring the connections we need, whether it be at the local, county level, state level, to bring in Lansing, and then some. I feel very confident in my ability to be able to sit down and enact policy to better our schools.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay, awesome. All righty, Mrs. McIntyre.
He's
All
muted.
right.
Okay, Miss Laurel. Okay, we're gonna move on to Dr. Joyce McNeil.
Hello, Mr. Delgado. How are you doing?
Hi, Joyce. How's it going?
I'm doing fine. Nice seeing you again. My question to you would be, what are the challenges facing our school districts?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, I touched it on much more detail. I'm obviously not going to reread the entire application again, but I think the biggest challenge, just if I could put just one simple subject, one simple issue, is honestly, I mean, we're caught in a cycle, and I think that relates to the student retention that we're suffering with, and that affects the school to prison pipeline. It affects mass incarceration, among many other socioeconomic issues. Realistically, I think and that's why I brought up earlier that I think we need to begin to start as a school board addressing the social issues within our community. It's hard to retain people that are going to Grand Blanc, that are going to Swartz Creek, that are going to Carmen, and then some, because there's not as many socioeconomic barriers. And I think we as a community need to address that. And I think there's possibilities to address those barriers through the Flint Board of Education, by sitting down at the table with people, like I said. So yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank Miss Laurel, are you with us?
I am. I apologize. I had some technical difficulties there. Yeah. I was just saying thank you, Mr. Delgado, for applying and for your willingness to serve on the board. My question is, what is your understanding of the history, of the racial history of the Flint Community Schools and its continuing legacy today?
There's a lot that can be said. I mean, obviously just every fabric of our society is rooted in systemic racism, and that goes right into our schooling system. And I think it goes right onto this subject of what the question that I just answered there. I mean, we know for a fact that the Flint Schools model was rooted in segregation, and I think we need to make us a board and as a community, if we're going to be honest, to address that, and we need to adopt policies that directly address those roots.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Delgado. That concludes first round.
Thank you.
If you are amongst the top 3 selected, you will go for another round.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. At this time, we'd like to go back to our superintendent so she can introduce our next candidate.
Uh, Board President McIntosh, before we
Oh, we didn't tally, right?
right, but my question is, which maybe I missed it because at some point, but what is the rating system that we're using? Is it a
Okay,
number or a letter?
okay. We did mention it. It's one through 10, 10 being
Okay.
high, 1 being low.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Board President, are you guys giving your ratings now?
Oh, I didn't think so. I was just asking because I wasn't clear.
Okay.
No, they're gonna give their tally at the end of all of the interviews.
Okay, thank you very much. I know she had paused for a minute and said we needed to do our tally, so I was just checking. Okay, are you
Okay,
ready?
yes.
And
Let me go back to the script. Uh-oh.
the number is 10. Candidate number 10.
Hello,
Okay,
candidate.
candidate
Hello,
number
candidate.
10 is Ashley Psalms Harris. I apologize, Ms. McIntosh.
No, that's okay because I'm trying to get it together. Ashley, who?
Psalms Harris.
Okay.
Okay, I will make her a panelist now.
Okay. Let me know when she is in, Stephen.
All right, she is in. Her mic is unmuted. Ms. Psalms Harris, sorry. If you would like, you can. There you
Hello.
go. You got it.
Hey, how are
How are you guys?
you? Wonderful. Thank you so much for applying for this position. At this point, we are going to ask you a series of questions, 6 to be exact. Each member will ask one question.
Okay.
The first question I will ask is describe anything in your background that would affect your qualifications to serve on the Flint Community School Board or prohibit you from interacting with students.
Currently there isn't, I don't see anything that would prevent me from interacting with students or affect my role if I was to be selected to be on the board.
Thank you. All right, next, Ms. Perry.
How are you, Ashley?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine. What do you see as the role of a school board member?
So I think I touched on my application, but the role of a school board member is oversight of the superintendent, to set vision and maintain that vision for the district. I believe that the school board handles budgets and tracks the budgets to make sure that we are on track for the fiscal year. And also school board members, they serve as advocates for the students first and foremost.
Thank you.
Okay. Next we'll have a question from Ms. Diana Wright.
Hello, Ms. Harris. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm good. At times, you may be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold as a board trustee. How will you handle this?
I may say this over and over again, but I believe that the first and foremost, our duty is to the students. So I think that whatever I may feel or whatever personal opinions I may have, the ultimate decision or action that should be taken should be in the best interest of the students of Flint Community Schools. So that's how.
Right. Right. Thank you.
Okay. Our next question will be coming from Miss Danielle Green.
Hi, Ashley. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
Good, thank you. My question to you is, what contributions can you make to this school district?
So what contributions? I touched on it a little bit in my application, but I am a civil engineer. I work as a project engineer at a construction management firm. We manage mid-sized to large projects in the city of Detroit. So we manage budgets from $2 million to $10 million. So I have experience tracking budgets. I also am a member of NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers, and I have experience working with teenage students with doing college prep programs and things of that nature. So I think my major contributions would be just being in a professional setting as well as working with students. I think that the mix of those two things would make me a perfect candidate for the Flint School Board.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Miss Perry, I didn't skip you, did I?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, next we'll have a question from Dr. Joyce McNeil.
Well, hello, Ashley. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay, nice to have you.
Thank
Wow,
you.
you did a great job there. So tell me this, what are some of the most important skills for students to have when they graduate?
Oh man, math, STEM, being able to.
What do you think are the skills?
I think of being able to think critically, um, being able to have their own opinions, and I think thinking critically is number one. That will get students through a lot, especially during college. So thinking critically, having strong STEM background, I guess if it fits them, and yeah, and I think also basic life skills. I think that we should do a better job of teaching students basic life skills, managing a budget, and yeah, balancing the checkbook. Although most people don't use checkbooks anymore, but balancing the checkbook, paying bills, and things of that nature. I don't think that I had those skills coming out of school, and it would have served me greatly.
Okay, thank you.
Our next question will be from Miss Laurel McIntyre.
Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
Thank you for applying. Appreciate you taking the time. What is your understanding of the racial history of the Flint Community Schools and its continuing legacy today?
Yeah, so my understanding is that my mom attended Central High School, and I believe when she attended, it was a mix, still a good mix of African American and white students. But slowly, the school system became mostly Black as white flight happened, and as white flight and I believe GM decided that they did not want to be in the city of Flint anymore. Resources also left. So resources left, and families with more resources left. So that left the system, I think, in a bad place. And I think that's still the tone now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes our first round. And thank you for applying. I don't have my script up. So at this point, Miss Ashley, we'd like to conclude with thank you for applying. We appreciate you. And hopefully you may be hearing from us soon in the
Thank
next
you.
round. We
Thank
have
you.
another round. After we tally up the scores, that's what I need to say because I don't have my script. I switched my screen. So we'll tally up the scores, and depending on your score, the top 3 pick will go on for a second round.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Stephen, I'm going back to you to see if we can get our next candidate in.
All right, so it doesn't seem like my random app is so random, but the next number is 9.
Okay, I show number 9 is candidate Adrian Walker. So I'll get them moved over. Okay, Adrian, you are now on the panelist side, excuse me.
Hello, Miss Adrian.
They are here. Mic is unmuted. I did send a webcam request. Oh, we lost microphone.
Carol,
Yes, ma'am.
Adrian is a man.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Walker?
Oh, I think see the camera starting. It's trying to connect on his end. It looks like.
We can see you. Can you see us?
Can you hear us, Mr. Walker?
I don't think he can.
I don't think so either. Hello, Mr. Walker. Okay, Stephen, is there anything we can do to get him?
I'm not able to really do anything on my end. He shows that his camera is up and his mic is unmuted.
Hmm.
Mr.
Can we
Walker,
check?
can you hear us?
Okay, y'all wave at him, somebody that can be seen. Miss McNeil, can you wave at him? He ain't looking. He looking down. Okay, now,
Can we give him a text or something? Can we text him a message?
We're pointing at our, he just pointed at his ear. He can't
right,
hear us either.
right.
Does someone have a phone number for him and can text him?
Yes, I will contact him.
Okay. So should we wait a minute or do you guys think we need to? Well, it's his turn, so we'll wait. See if they can do anything. Okay, he went out.
Maybe he's gonna try to log back on to try to
Yeah,
clear up the problem.
yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
he picked up the phone, so he must be talking to Monica.
This remote technology type of situation is forcing us to all get out there and venture
Yeah,
out and stuff.
yes. Has nothing to do with the person, it's just technology.
It is. It just don't never work the way you want it to. The
Yeah.
computer just chancy.
Especially in the Flint area, you get that connection, that bad connection.
Miss Laurel,
Yes.
have you read all those books in your library?
No, but I've taught them.
That's
That's an educator joke.
but that's just as good though. You at least skim through all of them.
Oh, yeah. And I know where they all are and when I need to go grab them.
Oh, you good then. You real good.
This is only one wall in my house.
Oh my God.
I'm a book hoarder.
Oh Lord. I like books too, but not like you. I like cookbooks, so maybe I should be comparing myself.
I've got 2 bookshelves in my house that are full, and I just ordered 2 new books today.
What do you like? Romance novels, Miss Perry?
No, I do
What?
all nonfiction.
Oh, okay.
I like to
Oh,
know who I am. I read a lot about who I am.
okay.
Nobody tell me who I am because I already know.
Right, right.
And I just ordered 2 books today. One talking about the racial um, discrimination is brand new about housing, and
Uh,
then the other one is called White Fragility, why white people can't understand some of the things that we go through.
okay, so you reading self-awareness. What about you, Miss McNeil? I see you got your stack back there going.
Well, I do a little bit of everything. I got all types of books because I am a writer, and I do research.
Okay.
So all my books is, and a lot of them is political and leadership because I kind of master in teaching leadership, and so a lot of it's just fun books. But I have about my daughter came in, so she threw away over 300 books. She didn't throw them away; we donate them. So
Board
and
members?
I still got about 200 or 300.
Yes,
Board
Monica.
members? Hi, I just got off the telephone with him and he's gonna call in, so just hold tight, okay?
Okay.
Vera, that's funny because I was trying to find, having just said I know where everything is and I can grab it. I've been reading White Fragility too. I think it's upstairs next to my bed though. We should do a book club.
I see you, Miss
It's a great
McNeil.
book. Vera, this one. Yep.
Who was that by, Miss McNeil?
Simone,
Okay.
that be on CNN.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, Miss Simone that
Yeah,
works
so
for.
we have a book club going with her. We eat it every Saturday.
That's
Oh, okay.
Barry Sanders. Yeah, not Barry, but Bernie Sanders.
Ernie girl. Yep, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I
Carol,
like her.
opposite of me, I have all kinds of books on education that I'm slowly replacing with quilting and sewing books.
Oh wow, that's great.
Laura,
That's that's good. See, you like me, Miss Wright. I like yep. See, I like creativity, art.
Mhm.
I got cookbooks. I collect cookbooks.
Oh yeah, I have that's up there too. I'm looking at one right now. It says
Hmm.
diabetic cooking. I'm not diabetic, but just in case.
See,
I like.
I'm reading that one too, Vera.
Oh
okay.
my God, y'all some
That
bookworm.
that is really good. That
That's a
one's
good book.
Okay, I'm gonna
that's
catch it
that's in the stack up next to my, like those are the current ones. Yep.
It was just delivered today.
from Amazon.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is Adrian.
All right.
Hello.
There he is.
Yes. Okay. Welcome, Mr. Walker. Glad to have
Sorry,
you.
sorry about that.
No, that's okay. We have technological difficulties all the time. We're used to it.
All right.
You prepared? You ready? Give you a second to pull your
Yeah.
stuff together. You ready?
Mm,
All right. We'll dive right
I'm
in.
ready.
Okay. I'm going to ask the first question. The first question is simply state, describe anything in your background that would affect you. I'm sorry because I'm hearing the echo from me.
Mr. Walker, if you would you turn down your computer speakers?
Yeah.
Getting a little bit of
Yeah.
feedback.
Hold on one second. Sorry. All right, can we try it now?
Okay. The question is, describe anything in your background that would affect you from qualifying to sit on the Flint Public Board of Education or stop you from interacting with students.
So, so within my background, there's nothing that will prohibit me from interacting in the space. I have no conflicts of interest or anything like that that would keep me from serving in the full board capacity.
Okay. Thank you. Our next question will come from Ms. Vera Perry.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Mr. Walker.
Hey, Ms. Berry, good to see you.
Good seeing you. What do you see as the role of a school board member?
So, Ms. Perry, I think it comes down to three things. The first thing that I would say is the supervision of the superintendent, making sure that, of course, you monitor their performance and how that's trickling down to each of the individual schools. The second is monitoring the budget, making sure that the budget is balanced on an annual basis according to law. And then third, I think the role of a school board member is to create policy that is implemented district-wide. So I believe that the role of a school board member comes down to those three.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next question will come from Ms. Diana Wright.
Hello, Mr. Walker. How are you? I know you can't see me, but how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Ms. Wright. How about yourself?
Okay, I'm doing well. At times you may be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold as a trustee. How will you handle this?
Yeah, so for me, I think it goes back to the law at the end of the day. I know we all have our own individual points of view, but at the end of the day, we're reflective of the communities that we serve, and we need to take in their interests and also what is the rule of law as it relates to our decision making. I sit on a number of boards here within the city that have put me in the situations like that before. And again, for me, I've always erred on the side of the law to be in line with anything ethically.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Our next question will come from Ms. Danielle Green.
Hello, Mr. Walker. How are you?
I'm doing good, Ms. Green. How about yourself?
Great, thank you. What contributions can you make to the school district?
So it's interesting because, my background is heavy on policy, right? I got a chance to spend some substantial time in DC working on the Hill, understanding how public policy works at the federal level. Also spent time in Lansing and also locally working on how to craft policy. Since being back home, I've been able to get back entrenched in the community over the last 5 years, kind of keep my pulse on the community and kind of feel what the true need is. But to be honest with you, Ms. Green, I feel like my main contribution would be that of a lived experience of an African American male who went through the Flint school system, who mother decided to move me to another school district, and I know that pain of again having to leave a school district like Flint and go somewhere else because, in her opinion, she thought I could get a better education somewhere else. So I believe it's that lived experience that would bring a perspective to the board to hopefully reverse that trend in terms of enrollment decline and students leaving our school district.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next question comes from Dr. Joyce McNeil.
Hello, Mr. Walker. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, Ms. McNeil. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. Hey, my question for
Good.
you is, what are the challenges facing our school district?
I think the strongest challenge right now, and I think I mentioned a little bit in my my last statement. I think it goes back to the deficit that continues to exist, and there's a number of different factors that you can add to it, be it the decline in student enrollment, the decline in the overall city population that takes away from your property taxes. And again, with that snowball continuing to roll down the hill, unfortunately, recently you all have passed a bond that has helped shore up some of that cost a little bit. But my main thing is, again, is it something that's sustainable to build the future of a school district, to remind people that, again, Flint School still is the best choice, and kind of reverse again that out migration to some of the other schools and bring the people back in. I believe that it's not until we can address the deficit, stop the school closing, that we'll be able to get things back on the right track.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And our next question will come from Ms. Laurel McIntyre.
Hi, Mr. Walker. Thank you so much for your application and your willingness to serve on the board.
Thank you for considering me.
My question is, what is your understanding of the racial history of the Flint Community Schools and its continuing legacy today?
It's a personal one, to be honest with you. So for elementary school, I went to Pierce, and at the time that I attended Pierce, it was very diverse. But as I got older and I engaged with people in community, I quickly found out that it was decades before I attended Pierce that people that looked like me couldn't attend that school. And essentially, it was a barrier to quality, education, that we were forced to go to other schools that were, not funded as well within the school system, and had a number of different challenges that you had to deal with, on top of, again, just going to school and learning your curriculum. And that still exists today as it relates to, again, the formulas behind how school districts are funded. And when you look at, urban school districts and you see the underfunding that's taking place there, and some of the outcomes that come out of it, again, it's something that's systemic, that still exists. And again, hopefully, I believe that we can get to the point that we can overcome it, but it's going to take some true come to Jesus moments to get there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker, how we do this is we'll tally up your score. We're doing 2 rounds. The top 3 picks will make it to the second round. So we're hoping that you stay around in case you make it to the second round. Don't leave us.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and work on this technical difficulties over here. Thanks again for the consideration.
Okay, thank you so much for applying. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mr. Steve.
All right, we have candidate number 4.
Okay, so candidate number 4 is Audrey Young. Okay. All right, Audrey has been moved over. I do not see a camera option though, so maybe unavailable.
Okay.
You have a camera option. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought I had a camera option. I'm not for sure how to get that up on here. I
Okay.
can see you all, but okay.
Okay. I am Carol McIntosh, and we're going to start. I will ask you the first question, and we will proceed to the next board member. At the end of this round, we'll do a tally. Each board member will ask you 1 question for a total of 6. The first question is, Describe anything in your background that would affect you from qualifying to serve on the Flint Community School Boards or prohibit you from interacting with students.
I have no disabilities, no affiliations or anything that would prevent me from serving the school board and the students and pupils of the Flint Public Schools.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Our next question will come from Ms. Vera Perry.
Hello, Ms. Young. I had myself muted.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What do you see as the role of a school board member?
Number one and foremost, more than anything, a team member. And as a team member, we collectively together, sit down and work on budgets. We work on some policies. We kind of do like a check and balance for one another between ourselves, the community, and the school system itself, like the superintendent. We kind of are a liaison, but still in enforcement of policies and making sure that we put things in place that will help the overall school system run more efficiently, run in a better light for the community. That's just to sum it up. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, our next question will be coming from Ms. Diana Wright.
Hello, Ms. Young.
Hi.
My question, at times you may be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold as a board trustee. How will you handle this?
Just in the past of being in the community and being one who help to resolve conflicts, learning conflict resolution, you have to be at a non-biased status. And when I say that also, you have to think outside of just yourself. It's not for what it is that you particularly want, but what is the best option and the best choice for everyone. So sometimes it might not be the most popular for one particular group, but what is the best answer or the best result for everyone?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Ms. Danielle Green.
What contributions can you make to the school district?
The contribution that I can make to the school district, I am an occupational therapist. I have worked with children. So I have an ability to be able to be patient is one of the biggest options that I have. And I have the ability to be able to look and see what's the needs from both sides, not just from the perspective of just the school board, but what's the need as far as for teachers, for the children's perspective. There's many different dynamics to help make the school board run. So that's one of the things that I have as a contribution that I definitely could make to the school board. I also have some background in management. So I have had to work in large facilities to where we had to figure out ways to budget, find out the extra ability to be able to tap into other dollars and other things that we can do that will contribute to those particular facilities. When I say the facilities, I'm talking about, yes, they were like a nursing home, or I was a supervisor. I'm not only in a nursing home, but in a hospital. So sometimes you have to tap in and do things that you don't, that may not be what you think is conventional, but they are also allow you the ability to think outside, as I say, outside of the box. So there's other ways that we can manipulate and be able to help the system to be able to run much more efficiently.
All righty, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Our our next question will come from, was that Ms. Wright? I'm sorry, my fault. I'm sorry. Was that question from Ms. Wright?
No, that was from me, Carol.
No, that was Miss Green.
Okay. Okay. Our next question will come from Miss Joyce, Dr. Joyce McNeil. Dr. Joyce McNeil.
You're muted, Ms. McNeil.
Sorry about that. Thanks a lot. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Ms. Young. Hey, my question for you today is, what are the challenges facing our school district?
I think most of us will agree that one of the biggest challenges is to have retention. We want to try to make sure that we get students not only to come to the Flint Public Schools, but to stay there. That's one of the things that will bring the dollars in. We want to make sure that when that student count comes in, it allows us to be able to have a bigger budget. Budgeting is one of the biggest things that we have to. We got to figure out a way to where we can balance the budget. I said student retention and also teacher retention. We don't want to lose our teachers, and we got great teachers in the Flint Public Schools. We don't want to lose them to other school systems because of lack of funding or anything like that. So I would think that those are some of our bigger challenges right now, more so budgeting and retention.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our next question will come from Ms. Laura McIntyre, I'm sorry.
Hi. Thank you so much, Ms. Young, for applying and for, willing to serve on the board. My question for you is, what is your understanding of the racial history of the Flint Community Schools and its continuing legacy today?
Well, being a product of the Flint Public Schools, I recall when the magnet program first started, what its intent was, with helping greater dynamics in the community. The school that I did attend was Carpenter Road School in elementary school, and I went there kindergarten through 6th grade. And it was when the magnet program first got its first pilot, and they were using Walker School for elementary school. So it was helping to bring about a greater dynamic there. I also went to Flint Academy, 7th through 12th grade, which you had students from all over the city that went to that one particular school. So you ended up getting a dynamics from across the board. I do know that there have been some racial divide within the city, quite a bit. As we say, the dynamics of Flint have changed quite a bit. You have students who have been pulled out of the Flint public schools, going to various charter schools in various areas outside of the city, which take away from us. But we want to try to bring that back to Flint. The racial divide that's here, it affects us all. It really does. It pulls away. We need not only the racial divide with the students, but we do have a racial divide with the students, sorry about that, but also with our teachers and our educators. We need to have those educators with more of a dynamic there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Young, this is our first round. We have 2 rounds. We're going to tally up your total. And at the end, we're going to pick the 3 top candidates, and the top 3 will come back for a second round. So please don't leave us. And thank you so much for your application.
All right. Thank you for consideration.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. All right, Superintendent, back to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Who we got?
Hold on. Do it again. Number 1.
All right.
Okay, number 1 is candidate Casey Calvert.
Anthony Calvert.
Oops, excuse me. And let's see, Mr. Calvert is now moved over. All right, can you hear us, Mr. Calvert? Oh, we're having more technical difficulties hearing you.
Or maybe it's here, not them.
It's showing his microphone is unmuted. I'm not sure why this is being difficult.
Okay. So what do we do for our last guy? You think we might have to, Mo? We might have to have you text him too.
Yeah, I'll call him, but Stephen, walk him through the steps of see if he can navigate clicking on the audio.
Sure. Mr. Calvert, if you would check the audio tab on the panel to the right. Just double check that the audio is set to computer audio. And then under microphone array, usually by their microphone there should be a drop down which lets you cycle through one or two different options. It should default to your computer's audio. If there's another option, try clicking that and then clicking back into your computer's default. And it might reset your microphone. Nothing yet. I believe Monica should be calling you soon. Mr. Calvert, one last trick we can try is if your computer has a microphone mute button somewhere on the keyboard, try clicking that. If some computers have it, some do not.
No,
Sir,
still
we
can't
cannot
hear
hear you.
you. So go ahead and dial the number.
Tracy Calvert.
Oh, we can hear you. If you wouldn't mind, please turn down your computer's audio.
Okay, it's done.
Thanks, sir. All right, I
President
believe we are
McIntosh?
back. Yes.
All right, I'm here. I'm just rejuicing up. My computer acting up. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Calvert.
Good evening.
Nice to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to start by asking the first question, and it is stated, describe anything in your background that would affect your qualifying to sit on the Flint Community School Board or stop you from interacting with students.
Okay, well, I don't have anything on my background that would prohibit me from participating in either of the two categories. I'm a school bus driver, so I interact with youth and students on a regular. So
Okay, thank you. Our next
you're
question will
welcome.
come from Ms. Vera Perry.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Calvert.
Hello, Miss Perry.
What do you see as the role of a school board member?
I think the purpose of a school board member is to develop policy and to govern the operation of the district as a whole. Policy oversight and superintendent and the budget. Teamwork makes the dream work, obviously. I believe any superintendent board member should be an advocate and a supporter of the community that they live in or that they represent. So that's what I believe to be the purpose of a school board member.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Our next question will come from Ms. Diana Wright.
Hello, Mr. Calvert. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. At times you may be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold as a trustee. How will you handle this?
My opinion is it doesn't matter when it comes to policy or the law. It doesn't matter. You always have to stand up for the policy. Policies are made and put into place to fairly govern, and the law is the law. So you definitely have to put your opinion and your personal feelings aside and go with what's established, because what's established is ultimately what's best for the best practice.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All righty. Our next question will come from Ms. Danielle Green.
Hi, Mr. Colwood. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thank you. My question to you is, what contributions can you make to the school district?
I like to believe I'm a hands-on individual. I like to I like to be visible, and I like to pull my own weight. I just don't believe in sitting on the board just to be there or just to take up space. I have leadership qualifications. I've been through multiple leadership development organizations, and I've been mentoring kids within the Flint community for the past 15 years. I literally started mentoring in 2006 when I graduated high school. So I have a deeply rooted interest in the school district and the surrounding community. I'm friends with many community activists and people who really put their best foot forward. And I believe I can be an asset to the board in any way, shape, form possible.
All righty, thank you so much.
There you go.
Okay, our next question will come from Dr. Joyce McNeil. Dr. Joyce?
Yeah, my system kind of went down a little. Can you hear me and see me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yes,
you.
ma'am, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I had a little hiccup here. How you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's
I'm
fine.
having a little issue here with my computer. But anyway, my question for you today is, what are some of the challenges that you see with the school district?
Me being somebody that has been, I'm like I said, I'm more hands-on. I'd much rather interact with the students and the youth, and I would say that my opinion would be behavior, and ultimately retention of students and bringing the students in. And the reason why I feel like they coincide or belong together is because a lot of times a student will not want to go to a particular school or won't want to go to school in general because of the behavior of their peers. Um, I think that on the flip side of the coin, retention of our students and recruitment, bringing those students who have gone to charter schools back home. Also, some of the more notable things, kind of to touch on, would be budgeting and the deficit. But me in general, I'd like to see the district back in the forefront of the community in which it resides in. There are charter schools popping up all over the place. I'd like to see everything Flint Community Schools. So when it comes down to what I think would be one of the biggest issues would be keeping and retaining the students, trying to curb that misbehavior in our students who need a little bit more attention than others, and getting that deficit and the budget right and tight for the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. And our final question will come from Miss Laura McNeil, Miss Laura McIntyre, I'm sorry.
No problem. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Calvert, for your time and for your willingness to serve. I appreciate your application. My question is, what is your understanding of the racial history of the Flint Community Schools and its continuing legacy today?
Well, I come through the Flint Community Schools in the late 90s, early 2000s, graduated from Flint Northern in 2006. And from my memory, what I can remember as a student was Flint schools were primarily an African American school district, but there were other races who went to school there or who were in school with us. And back then, you kind of hung with who you looked like until after school, and you had these different after school activities, sports, band, whatever, where you kind of came together and you made new friends. That's really what happened. And as a community, from a community standpoint, I grew up a North Side Flint kid. That's what it was. And you didn't see the other side of the tracks literally until you went to the other side of town. Man, there's other folks over here that don't necessarily look like me, and that's where the divide, I feel like, kind of happened. Of course, there's deeply rooted systematic stuff and all that, but when it comes down to the student, when it comes down to peer-to-peer, kid-to-kid, at the end of the day, race doesn't matter. When you've got a ball game to win, you don't have time to be, oh, this color and that color. You have to come together for the betterment of the organization. And I feel like if we can kind of focus on planting seeds in these kids, you may not be able to infect the entire household, but you can send some positivity home with one kid with a planted seed. And we can kind of crack away at the systematic things that have kind of taken root in our society, one child at a time.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Casey, we are going to do 2 rounds. This was the first round. We'll tally up the scores after this round, so please hang around. If you make it to the next round, then we'll come back with 6 more questions for you. So
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your interest in your application.
Thank you.
All right. Stephen and Superintendent, back on
All
the
right, here we go. I have to unlock my phone every time. Number 8.
All right.
Okay, candidate number 8 is Timothy Abdul Mayton. And I'll get him transferred over. Okay, it seems to be one thing after another here. I'm not able to transfer him over, so I'm going to go ahead and just unmute him and see if I can eventually transfer him over.
Okay.
Timothy, you are still self-muted, so feel free to unmute. Very good.
Hello. Hello.
Okay. He's
Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you today?
Yes.
All right. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for your application. My name is Carol McIntosh, and I will start this round of the questions. The first question says, describe anything in your background that may affect you qualifying to serve on the Flint Community School Board or interact with students.
There's nothing in my background that would prevent me from serving as a school board member or interacting with children. I am a returning citizen, but my crime didn't involve endangering children or anything like that. So I don't have nothing in my background that would hinder me from that. And I've already, served the community for numerous years. I mentored at Northwestern. I've been on, a part of boards who serve youth in our community.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Our next question will come from Ms. Vera Perry.
How are you today?
Okay, how are you, Ms. Perry?
I'm fine. What do you see as the role of a school board member?
The role of a school board member is to, help enrich the lives of our children and get them, the best quality education that they need to be, full participants in our society and be successful that will move our community forward. So I think, being an advocate, being someone that makes the decisions that's best for these children, I think that's the ultimate role. And of course, working with fellow board members and making sure that we work together and get things done so we could put these children in a position, to be, our future leaders of success.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Our next question will come from Ms. Diana Wright.
Hello, Mr. Is it Mateen?
It's Abdul Mateen. I'm sorry, it's Abdul
Abdul
Mateen.
Mateen. How are you today?
All right, how are you?
I'm well. At times you may be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold as a board trustee. How will you handle this?
You have to, what I've learned, you have to uphold truth, facts, and law. I mean, those things you can't compromise on facts in law. So personal opinions is really, at a time like that, there's really no room for that. And if I'm opposed to one's idea or belief, I would try to get a kind of an understanding and get the facts of it. And at the end of the day, I have to make the best decision, which is upholding the truth and upholding facts and making sure that we are abiding by the law at all times.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Our next question will come from Ms. Danielle Green.
Hello, how are you, Timothy?
All right, how are you, Danielle?
Good. Okay, my question to you is, what contributions can you make to the school district?
Wow. So I believe one of the contributions I will make to the district is relatability. Being a community activist, being someone that has served this community for numerous years, I believe that I can relate to parents and even students, children of our community, and be an inspiration in them. Sharing my story and being out there, being an activist. Let my work speak for itself, and all believe that would make me a great addition to the board, and just being someone who wants to really see our district return to a level of greatness and even improve on that level of greatness as well.
All righty. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Our next question will come from Dr. Joyce McNeil. Muted, Dr. McNeil.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Abdul Mateen. Did I
Good
pronounce it
afternoon.
right?
Yeah,
I'm
you
so
got it
glad
right.
I'm so glad you said it. I always want to call your last name and I never could get it right.
Yeah, that's right.
My question for you is, what are some of the challenges that you see for the school district?
Well, so some of the challenges I think ultimately, one of the student pupil retention. I think we lost a lot of students over the years, and we're continuing to lose students. So I think student retention. I believe facilities infrastructure. I believe our infrastructure. We have to find a way to improve the infrastructure on a lot of our facilities. And I also believe, that's going to go with funding as well, making sure we get the best outcomes for our dollars. So I think those are some of the things. But the student, the student retention is important. We don't have students, we lose a lot of funding for that. So student retention is probably one of the most important things that our school district is faced with right now.
Wow, great answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And last but not least, our last question of this round will come from Laura McIntyre.
Hi, Mr. Abdul Mateen. Thank you so much for submitting your application and for your willingness to serve on the board. My question for you is, what is your understanding of the racial history of the Flint Community Schools and its continuing legacy today?
Well, my understanding is that the Flint School District we do have a racial history far as a lot of segregated, policies that has kind of trickled down and affect some of, our schools today. Exclusivity, I believe that, in the past, some of the best, education was given to exclusive group of people. So from my knowledge, we do have a history of segregation far as educating, people of color and blacks, and it was just different back then, and it continues that way on a different level as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point, this concludes the first round. We will tally up the scores at the end of the first round. The top 3 candidates will go to the second round. So hang around to see if you make it to the next round.
All right, thank you.
All the candidates?
No, this isn't. I don't think it is.
No, ma'am, we have more to go.
Yeah, we got some more. 4, 5,
Guys
6.
ready
See,
for the
that's on.
next number?
Yep. Yes, we are.
Candidate number 5.
Okay, candidate number 5 is Alexis Love. Get her moved over. Okay, Miss Love, you are moved over. Please unmute. Oh, that's my fault. I apologize. And I sent you a webcam request if you choose to be on the webcam.
Hello, sorry, for some reason it's not letting me share it. It's telling me to go to system preferences, and I'm not that tech savvy.
Let me see.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, and I'm sorry, it's not letting me share my camera. Yeah. Yeah, it's not allowing me to do so. I do apologize.
That's okay. All right, well, we can hear you. So thank you so much. For our first round, we'll be asking each board member will be asking one. The first question is state. Describe anything in your background that would affect your qualifications to serve on the Flint Community School Board or interact with students.
No, I don't have anything in my background that would prohibit me from doing so.
Okay, thank you. Our next question will be asked by Ms. Vera Perry.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm fine. What do you see as the role of a school board member?
So I did go ahead and research what the responsibilities for a board member were exactly, and I came up with 5 things. The first and foremost one being educating the pupils. The second one would be providing for the safety and welfare of them. The third one is really maintenance and keeping up with renovations, acquiring property, repairing any school property, facilities, technology, or furnishings. The fourth thing that I found was hiring, termination, contracting, scheduling, and supervising all employees and independent contractors. And then the fifth one really was just the management of money, pledging money to be used in the future, or making sure we stay within the qualifications to receive any federal, state, or local funds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will be asked by Ms. Diana Wright.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. At times, you may be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold as a board trustee. How will you handle this?
So I know it's very important for us to follow any policies or laws that have been implemented, but if there was something that I was strongly opposed to, there's obviously avenues that you can go through to try and amend it. So I would seek those avenues if I felt that it was something that wasn't in the best interest of the children. So I would be able to maintain following the law, and if it didn't work out for the children, we would work on changing it.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize. It looks like there's someone who is in as a phone caller. For some reason, this
That's
is not letting
me.
me
That's me.
mute
Cause
or see.
can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Can you hear me? That's me. My data
Oh, okay.
is acting up.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So our next question will come from Ms. Diana Wright.
I just asked mine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Our next question will come from Ms. Danielle Green.
Hello, Miss Love. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Thank you. What contributions can you make to the school district?
Well, I believe I'd be able to make a couple contributions. The first one would be my passion to ensuring that all of our students receive a quality education. I understand that really your foundation for the future depends on having that quality education, and I want to make sure that even though our students are at a socioeconomic disadvantage, the education isn't another one. Another one would be I worked as a teacher's aide for about 3+ years, so this allowed me to see perspectives from not only teachers, but students, parents, as well as support staff. And this would help me make informed decisions on their behalf.
All righty. Thank you, Miss Love. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And our next question comes from Dr. Joyce Monroe.
Hello, Miss Love. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing just fine. I have one quick question for you. What are the challenges for the school district?
So one challenge I believe we're facing is a relatively new one, being that all of the students have been transferred to virtual learning due to COVID-19. We have to understand that that isn't the best way for everyone to learn. So we might have to play catch up in the upcoming months to make sure that any information that was taught is actually retained by them. Another really big one that everybody seems to touch on is retention, making sure we actually are able to keep students in our school district. And then a third one I would say is making sure we have those qualified teachers so we can appeal to bring in more students back into our school district as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Great answers.
Thank you.
And our last question will be coming from Laura McIntyre.
Hi, Ms. Love. Thank you for your application and for making a commitment to serve on the board if chosen. My question is, what is your understanding of the racial history of the Flint Community Schools and its continuing legacy today?
So I do understand that before, especially when GM was here and it brought those jobs, it was pretty much a melting pot. You had people from various backgrounds and financial status and things of that nature. But right now it's predominantly African American. And I believe that we need to focus on getting basically that melting pot back going so that we can grow from all the different experiences and walks of life that, they have to offer to our students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. This concludes our first round. We're going to tally up our scores, Ms. Love, and we will be selecting our top 3 candidates to go on to the second round. So please hang around. And this will conclude our first round of questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Board President. Number 2.
All right.
Okay, number 2 candidate up is a Dale Potter. And I'll get them moved over here just now. All right, Mr. Potter is in and ready. Yes,
Can you
sir.
hear me? Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, how are you this evening?
I am well. I am well.
Wonderful. The first question that I will be asking you is to describe anything in your background that would affect you from qualifying to serve on the Flint Community School Board or from interacting with our students.
No, there is not. I am a therapist. I've worked in the Flint Community Schools in the past in a couple different roles, and I I love our students, I love our community, and it would be a privilege to serve.
Thank you. Okay, our next question will come from Miss Vera Perry.
Hello, sir. What do you see as the role of a school board member?
I believe the role of a school board member is working and guiding our superintendent and our schools, setting and guiding policy, finding funding and finding funds, to support programs. They're all primary, but we also have to have a vision, and we have to cast that vision. We have to provide guidance, provide clarity, to inspire, to train, and really, finally, to represent our community and be their spokesperson that goes between the school and our community.
Thank you.
Our next question will be asked by Miss Diana Wright.
Hello, Mr. Potter. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Yourself this evening.
Yes, I'm doing well also. At times, you may be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold as a trustee. How would you handle this?
I think that the two are natural, okay? But we must clarify that our students and our community needs and wishes are first, but we've got to balance that with the laws and the government expectations that sometimes come in conflict with that. So we have to follow the law, but we have to also work for the best of our students and our community to make sure that those laws and those requirements fit our needs. So sometimes we've got to be an advocate for change if we really feel like change is needed in policy, in policymakers, in our state and our federal government, because it's all about what's best for our students, and we must help facilitate that.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Potter.
Yes. And next up with our next question, we have Miss Danielle Green.
Let me go ahead and inform you. For future reference, we offer convenient self-servicing options.
Hello?
You guys hear me?
Is
Yes,
this
ma'am.
Danielle?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes,
It's
go
going.
ahead.
I heard my name. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I can
It's
hear
your
you.
turn. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, how you doing, Mr. Potter?
I am doing well, thank you. And
My
yourself?
question. I'm good. My question is to you is how can you contribute to the Flint Community School District?
My bachelor's degree is in education. It's family life education. My master's is in counseling, both school and mental health. And I believe that we have to make the school a mentally healthy place, to create a community of lifelong learners, to inspire, to help our kids discover whatever they can be. That's the education perspective and the educational possibilities that I believe in. I believe in special education. It's a huge problem in our communities. I worked in two of our schools, and I saw that firsthand. And we've got to be able to provide for those educational opportunities for those kids. But again, I think of what we need a strong community, and a strong community only happens when you have a strong school. The school is the heart and soul of your community. That's why it would be a privilege to serve. It's because I believe in our community, and I believe in our kids, and I believe in our families.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Our next question will be coming from Dr. Joyce McNeil.
Hello, Mr. Potter. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay, nice seeing you today. My question for you today is, what are the challenges for the school district?
Our challenges for our school district are to create an environment where learning is possible. We have many challenges. Thankfully, some of the funding issues are starting to resolve a little bit. You know, with the millage, with the GISD thing all being taken care of and that type of thing. But we have students and families that don't trust the Flint schools. They would rather put their trust in a corporation to educate their kids. And we have to make Flint community schools the very best option for our kids. Nothing can stand in the way of that, whether that be recruiting successful members that are known nationwide that were part of our schools in the past, to do an advertising campaign, to educate families, to provide new programs, to create a lot of the things that we've lost. We've lost arts and things that inspire the brain to think, and we need to provide those things so that our kids have the very best education opportunity and our families see us as the very best option, not these for-profit schools that are really lying and stealing our kids. That's what I believe. I believe that will create a community in Flint that is new and is growing.
And our last question will come from Miss Laura McIntyre.
Hi, Mr. Potter. Thank you so much for your application and for indicating you're willing to serve on the board. My question is, what is your understanding of the racial history of the Flint Community Schools and its continuing legacy today?
You know, it's funny because just recently I watched the film that Mott put together from 1962 of the Flint schools and how we were a leader of community schools and really the model for how schools in the United States should be. And we have, because of budgetary restraints, because of government restraints, because of the loss of population, because of white flight, because of all these things, have created a system that, well, when I was at Holmes, 98% of our students were African American. 98%. Okay? We have to, that in itself is a problem. It's not a problem that it's 98%, but it's a problem that we've fallen so far where no one sees us as viable anymore. And we have to create a great system that will create great hope in our community. If that makes sense. That's really what we need to have. Okay, I understand all of the racial tension and all of those things that caused us to be where we're at, because we lost vision. We became a place that was simply about survival, not about thriving. And we got to get back to the place where we're thriving within our community.
Thank you very, I was trying to unmute. Thank you very much for your answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Potter. This is the first round. We're going to tally the scores after we finish interviewing all the candidates. 3 will make it to the next round, so please hang around. And thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for hearing me.
Yes. Stephen and Superintendent.
Yes, ma'am. Candidate number 12.
Okay, candidate number 12 is Billy Mitchell. We'll get them moved over. Seems we have the same issue as the other. I cannot move them over, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wait.
Hello.
I'm not able to move her to panelists, so we will not be able to get a camera view. I apologize.
Okay.
Ms. McIntosh, are you there? Or did we lose you again?
Pardon me? No,
Are
I'm
you
here.
there? Oh, okay.
Is Mr. Mitchell? Is Mr. Mitchell on the line?
I believe she is.
Yes, I'm here.
She's on the line. Yes,
Oh,
I'm not able to get
Billy
camera
is a
access to her. I
she.
apologize.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm on my cell phone anyway, so thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to start off with the first question, and it is stated, describe anything in your background that would affect you from qualifying to serve on the Flint Community School Board or interacting with students.
There is nothing in my background that would affect me from being a part of the Flint School Board or being involved with the children.
Thank you. Our next question will come from Ms. Vera Perry.
Hello, Ms. Mitchell.
Hello.
What do you see as the role of a school board member?
So I believe that the role of a school board member is to be responsible for monitoring the district's budget, the superintendent, and the success of the staff and the faculty, as well as overseeing the district's operations and the progress of the district.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Our next question will come from Ms. Diana Wright.
Hello, Ms. Mitchell. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. At times, you may be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law you're required to uphold as a board trustee. How will you handle this?
So I always remember that the role that I am in and the commitment that I made to take when I took on that role, that I'm responsible for upholding my duties within that role, regardless of my personal views. That's how I would handle personal versus professional.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Our next question will come from Ms. Danielle Green.
How you doing, Ms. Mitchell?
Good. How are you?
Good. What contributions can you make to the school district?
The contribution that I could make to the school district would be, I believe, my public health background and providing my knowledge of what healthy schools are, my involvement with several community partners and organizations, be it through my involvement as a board member of the Flint and Genesee Literacy Network or my involvement as a board member for the Youth Coalition, or even my involvement as the manager of health for the city of Flint. I've also built relationships with kids and families within the city of Flint, not only through me founding a mentoring program, but also through my role as a parent ambassador for Flint Educare.
All righty. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Our next question will come from Dr. Joyce McNeil.
Hello, Ms. Mitchell, how are you today?
How are you?
I'm just fine. My question for you today is, what are the challenges facing the school district?
The challenges that I believe that Flint schools are facing are, of course, adequate funding and then deteriorating facilities, being a district in an underserved and poverty-stricken urban community, shortage of staff and faculty, including teachers, student retention, and then now recently e-learning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And our last question will come from Ms. Laura McIntyre.
Hi, Ms. Mitchell. Thank you so much for submitting your application and your indicating your willingness to serve. My question is, what is your understanding of the racial history of the Flint Community Schools and its continuing legacy today?
I believe that Flint was once a predominantly white city. And once more African Americans started to move into the city, there was a rise in racial tension. And so with that racial tension, the brown and black residents, they also were given disadvantages such as like redlining and lack of economic stability, and most recently our Flint water crisis. And so that's the history that I have as far as our Flint schools and the legacy that it left for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. At this point, Ms. Mitchell, we are on our first round. Please hang around. We're picking our top 3 candidates to go to the next round. So we ask that you stay nearby our meeting in case you make it to the last round. Thank you so much for your application.
Thank you.
Candidate number 3.
Okay, candidate number 3 is Michael Lynn. Looks like we are not able to move Michael Lynn over as well, so I'm going to go ahead and just unmute him. Mr. Lynn, are you
Hello,
there?
hear me?
Yes, yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well.
Wonderful. My name is Carol, and I'll be asking the first question, and it is simply stated, would you please describe anything in your background that would affect you or affect you from qualifying to serve on the Flint Community School Board or interacting with our students?
There is nothing in my background.
Okay. Our next question will be asked by Ms. Vera Perry.
Okay, Mr. Lynn, what do you see as the role of a school board member?
The role of the school board member is to help make appropriate policy that the superintendent and the district can implement. It would be to approve recommended curriculums and extracurricular activities for the students. It would be to help ensure that the district's vision and mission is met with fidelity, to assist with making structural decisions in regards to the brick and mortar campus, as well as e-learning at the moment, and whether or not we're going to go back or be in person or choose a hybrid format. So the physical being of the buildings and the personnel inside of the buildings. And then lastly, 2 more things. It would be a voice for the community to hold accountability for the district in which we reside, and advocacy for the students and their education, but also for the staff members that work for the district.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next question will be asked by Ms. Diana Wright.
Hello, Mr. Lynn. How are you?
I'm well, Miss Wright. How are you?
I'm doing well. As a board member, at times you may be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold. How will you handle this?
In this situation, you have to go with the ethical and moral right, which would be to go with what the policy states.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next question will be asked by Ms. Danielle Green.
Hello, Mr. Lynn. How are you?
I'm fine, Ms. Green. How are you?
Great, thank you. My question is, what contributions can you make to the school district?
I have quite a bit of contributions I think I could bring to the district in this capacity. I went to the University of Michigan Flint for my bachelor's, and I went to CMU for my master's. I've been in the educational field since 2009, working on improving my craft and my skill. And I've been a teacher in this area for the past 8 years. I'm reliable, I'm trustworthy, I'm organized, and I'm extremely professional. I have been very active within the community in various capacities and various jobs. I have been a mentor in various mentorship programs. I have been an advocate through the Weiss Advocacy Agency. I have worked on beautification projects. And I really think another important piece would be I am the PAC leader for the elementary schools in the district that I work for, which is the Political Action Committee. I think that a lot of times if you want to see change, you need to get as involved in the process as possible. I'm so dedicated to education and our youth, and I firmly and truly believe that education and teachers and support staff are the way in which we mold the future. I want to see a beautiful future. I have high hopes for our city. I have high hopes for our state and even for our country. And I want to just make sure that from a systemic and from a law standpoint, that we're doing right by everybody. And so the best way to make change is to be. So I'm here, I'm willing, and able, and I would love to be more involved with the educational system in which I reside.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Next question will be asked by Dr. Joyce McNeil.
Hello, Ms. McNeil.
Well, hello, Mr. Lynn. How are you today?
I'm wonderful.
My question for you today is, what are the challenges facing our school district?
I believe that there are a few challenges, none that will be surprising to anyone and everybody knows. I think that the number one challenge that we need to handle, and this also affects many other capacities within our district, is the financial situation and the debt and past debts that we have. It has placed us in a very tightly supervised place with the NDE. And because of that, from what I hear from teachers in the district, I have a lot of friends that work for the district. They have shared that because of the financial situation, it has put extra pressure on testing, and there's extra testing and extra paperwork that is required because of this. And they have stated that this causes a lack of instructional time within the district and within the classrooms. And instructional time is something that should be sacred. And because of the financial debts, it is also, I believe, causes an image standpoint. We are in a place and in a time where you have choice and you have lots of choice. And I have worked in charter schools and I'm currently in a traditional public school. And families at this point, they know that they have choice. And so they want to choose what is best for their family and what is best for their child. And it's our job to make sure that Flint Community Schools is the best. And by doing that, we have to be able to retain teachers and retain staff. And the teacher salary and the teacher pay scale currently doesn't really align with that option. When you can go to the next district over and make $20,000 more doing very similar jobs, or drive a little bit south or a little bit north. I have known teachers that have wanted to come to Flint Community Schools and have wanted to work for the district, and the starting pay was, again, about $20,000 less than they were being offered at another district. So, and I don't think it's a lack of will, it's a lack of people can't afford to work for our district. And so we need to be able to have a financial standpoint where pay is something that is equitable across districts and is attractive to future candidates and even current employees. And I also think that infrastructure is something that is a challenge. Our buildings are old, and along with images, there's gorgeous schools in the area and that do draw attention to families who are searching for a school or shopping for a school. You want something that is appealing to the eye, and so that would be another challenge. So one, debt, and I guess two would be image.
Okay, thank you so much.
And our last question will be asked by Laura McIntyre.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you? And thank you so much for applying and for indicating your willingness to serve on the board. My question is, what is your understanding of the racial history of the Flint Community Schools and its continuing legacy today?
I know that Flint Community Schools was once something about 30,000. I know that it is very different than what it was back when some of my friends went to the Flint Community Schools. I know that the neighborhoods are zoned differently. I know that some of the home deeds say that only white families can live in this area and only Black families can live in this area. And of course, that has played a huge part on the structure of our school and what our schools are able to house. Being in the area as an educator, I know that a lot of the staff is white and a lot of the students are not. And that does create an equity and in a way. So it's very important that steps are made in order to combat that. I've had SEED training, which is seeking educational equity and diversity training. I've had ACEs training. I've had book studies on white fragility and culturalized and why do all the Black kids sit together at the lunch table. And I think the most recent book we read in our book study was Push Out. And it was talking about how African American females are the most underserved in the educational system because of the image that white society has placed on them in the educational system. And so it is something that is very real and very relevant and very prevalent. And I feel that, I know that with education and with training, progress can be made and progress will be made. And I know that Flint has made great changes recently in trying to move forward in this area. So I have high hopes that this can continue to grow and be a completely inclusive of all school district, staff-wise, student-wise, family-wise, and community-wise.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank
Welcome.
you. And this is the end of our first round. We have, I think, one more candidate after you. Please hang around. We'll be taking our top 3 candidates, and they will go into our top 3 candidate scores. And the top 3 will go into the last round, the next round.
Well, thank you for
And
taking
so we would,
the interview. I appreciate it.
yes. Thank you so much for your interest.
Carol, that was our last candidate.
I thought we had one more.
You have
There's
one
one
more,
more.
11, number 11.
Oh, I thought I.
11, candidate 11 should be the last one.
That was candidate 11.
That was
No,
No,
that was
that,
candidate 12.
Pardon?
No, it was candidate 12. We have candidate 11. Right? Or that was candidate 13.
No,
three.
that was
Candidate, the last
I
one
was number
candidate
3. Michael Lynn was number 3.
he was the 10th one. He was the 10th one.
Right. And we have 11, they said.
Yes, ma'am. There was originally 12 and one backed out, so we do have one more.
That's right, Mr. Gibbs. That's right. I wrote down too quick. I wrote too quick that he had already spoken.
It does appear I'm also having the same issue with Mr. Gibbs. I apologize. It's not letting me move him over to a panelist, so I will unmute him. And if Mr. Gibbs, you would unmute yourself, we are ready for you.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. How are you all?
I'm wonderful, Mr. Gibbs. All right. So, Mr. Gibbs, my name is Carol McIntosh, and I'll be asking you your first question.
Okay.
And it is stated, describe anything in your background that would affect you from qualifying to serve on the Flint Community School Board or interacting with students.
Well, there's nothing in my background that would disqualify me generally, and certainly nothing that would prevent me from interacting with students or their parents. I will disclose that, you know, as part of my law practice, I've had some cases in the past involving Flint schools, and if for some reason one of those specific cases that I had worked on came up, I would, of course, recuse myself if there was any conflict of interest. But that's something that, you know, I would expect everybody might have something like that could come up. But generally, no.
Okay, thank you. Our next question will be asked by Ms. Vera Perry.
Hello, Mr. Gibbs.
Hello, Ms. Perry.
What do you see as the role of a school board member?
Well, I think that a school board member has a number of roles. Some of those are things that they do individually, and some of those are things that they do collectively with the board as a whole. Obviously, supervision of the administration and setting school board policy is a major governance function that school boards are responsible for. But I also think, you know, at the individual level, a school board member has a responsibility to be open to parents and community concerns and students as well. And, you know, the school board is also responsible for making sure, at the end of the day, has a lot of responsibility for making sure that the school district is compliant with a number of laws and regulations. And, you know, they also have a role in administering student discipline and making serious disciplinary decisions. So there are a lot of different functions. You know, certainly keeping an eye on the budget is kind of, I think, a recurring thing that happens that the school board has to be focused on pretty much all the time in light of some of Flint's issues. But yeah, those are the functions. I think broadly, and I think that there are a lot of different things the school board member is responsible for.
Thank you.
Okay. And our next question will be asked by Ms. Diana Wright.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Ms. Wright?
I'm doing well. As a board member, at times you may be caught between legitimately opposing points of view. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold. How will you handle this?
Well, you know, in those situations, I face those situations certainly in the practice of law generally, and ultimately, it's not our responsibility as you know. There's a universe of policies the school board can set, but it's very necessary to be aware of our limitations, and you know, when there's a legitimate law or policy in place that I don't happen to agree with, barring that being unconstitutional or illegal in some way, you know, you've got to uphold that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Our next question will be asked by Ms. Danielle Green.
Hello, Mr. Gibbs. How are you?
Good. How are you?
What contributions can you make to the school district?
I think there are a number of contributions I can make. I've served on a number of boards in the past. One that I didn't list in my application, I realized I'm also on the East Village board for the East Village magazine. And I've worked, I'm a practicing attorney. I've been an attorney based in Flint for over a decade now. And I'm very conversant with a lot of issues related to education law, whether it's employment, state compliance and emergency managers and oversight by the Department of Education. I'm aware of a lot of the issues surrounding the Flint water crisis. And, you know, I think that my experience is broad enough that I can assist the board quite a bit, bringing, you know, not the perspective of the board's attorney, but the perspective of an attorney on the board, which I think might be important as we head into issues with state oversight and questions about compliance and personnel matters moving forward.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Our next question will come from Dr. Joyce McNeil.
Hello, Mr. Gibbs. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. My question for you today is, what are the challenges facing the school district?
Well, I think probably two primary challenges I see are funding and enrollment as kind of the basic issues that the Flint community schools face. I would say that, you know, there are a number of other kind of issues related to that, but one of the biggest problems that I think Flint is facing is we're still dealing with a declining student population, and ultimately, to be a successful school district, that has to be stabilized, and we have to do something to make sure that we're able to run this school district as it needs to be run, which is independently of state special interference and oversight. And those are the basic issues that I see that really must be addressed by this board on a continuing basis, and are responsible for a lot of the current problems that the district faces.
Okay, thank you so much.
And our last question will come from Ms. Laura McIntyre.
Hi, Mr. Gibbs. Thank you so much for submitting your application and indicating your willingness to contribute to the board. My question for you today is, what is your understanding of the racial history of the Flint Community Schools and its continuing legacy today?
So Flint Community Schools has a history of segregation that is, in my view, kind of ongoing, although the particulars of that have changed over the years. I see the institutional racism behind both white flight from the city of Flint and, you know, more recently in the response to the poisoning of Flint's water supply, which has had a incredibly detrimental impact on students in the Flint community schools. I think that what we're looking at moving forward is trying to address, you know, Flint community schools has to work in, I think, cooperation with the broader Flint community. So we've got to address racial disparities that exist there. We also have to be kind of forward planning, looking at what's happening with these students that have been adversely impacted by that, who have trauma in many cases related to these past incidents, and figure out how we can successfully educate those students and make sure that they have every opportunity that's reasonably available to them. And I think that that's another reason that the board really has to look at how, over the next few years, as these students grow up in our community and are being educated by our schools, we have to make sure that they're, instead of putting them on a path, in a lot of legal circles, we call it the school to prison pipeline. They end up coming out of school having a number of barriers that they face, and happens way disproportionately to communities of color and to indigent communities. We need to come up with a long-term plan, I think, of making sure that that's curbed, of making sure that discipline that's issued is productive and doesn't exacerbate these continuing disparities. And that's what we've got to be looking to do for the school district as a whole.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Mr. Gibbs, this concludes our first round. We're going to tally the scores. The top 3 picks will make it to the next round, and we will ask another series of questions, and the person with the top score out of the last round will be the choice, unless we have a tie. But
okay,
hang around while we tally, and we'll be getting back with you guys to let you know what the tallies are and who made it to the next round. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. 10, 12, right. Okay, so now does everybody have their scores tallied up?
Give me a second.
Okay.
Can I just be clear in terms of scores tallied up? What I have in front of me is a sheet with just blanks on it, and we're supposed to give each candidate a score between the number of 1 and 10. Is that correct? There's no additional criteria or subcategories within those? I just want to make sure that I've gotten the right documentation.
No, there's not supposed to be anything else, but you're supposed to my understanding, rank them on each question. Is that what we're doing? That's what I thought we were doing.
Oh, no.
How do we rank? There's no criteria for ranking questions. I don't have that.
I thought we just rated them overall on their responses.
Yeah, and it is why I did it.
Well, I mean,
I can do that too.
Are we all
only have, yeah, because we only have 1 slot for each person, so.
Right. So we just give them a number between 1 and 10,
I couldn't
correct?
see all those. Yeah, I couldn't see all those because I had to watch from the screen. So I was on regular paper with this. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so
are we gonna do it all in here? Or are we going out? Are we gonna do it here with the public?
Do it with the public. I don't see.
That's
okay,
correct.
We have to do it with
I
the
think
public.
we're supposed to be. Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, it has to be open.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
the board president, am I calling people's names and then they're giving me an overall score for each candidate? You asked me to keep track of the score sheet, the tally sheet.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Please.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So board members, we're going to start with candidate number 1. And as I call your name, please give me your score for candidate number 1.
Wait, now, when you say candidate number 1,
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking about the order of the candidates or the order that they were called in?
So each candidate was given a number.
Mhm.
So the candidate who was given the number 1, that is the candidate that we're going to start with. Did that answer your question, Ms. Perry?
No.
Okay.
Okay, let's
Can you
just
repeat that
say,
name?
let's say Mickey Mouse was number 1
Mm-hmm.
in the packet that we were given.
Okay.
But Mickey Mouse ended up interviewing as number 6.
Mm-mm.
So which one do you want? Do you want us to go in the order that they were in their packet or the order that they interviewed?
In their packet. So if Mickey Mouse was assigned number 1, then Mickey Mouse would be candidate number 1 from the packet.
Okay.
Mo, correct? Because all of the candidates received a number.
Correct.
So if you look in your packet, Mickey Mouse was assigned number 1. So that is candidate number 1.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay. So candidate number 1, as I call your name, please tell me the number or the score that you have given to candidate number 1. Okay? All right. Board member Wright,
8.
Perry,
3.
McIntosh,
8.
McIntyre,
2.
Green,
7.
McNeil,
3.
candidate number 2. Number 2.
I don't have a 2. I'm missing somebody.
That was a Mr. Potter, wasn't it?
Oh, okay. So
Not saying names. Not saying
Oh,
names.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize.
sorry, guys.
Mrs. Wright,
4.
was that a 4?
Yes.
Okay. Perry, I'll come back to her. McIntosh,
6.
McIntyre, I'm sorry, you're on mute, McIntyre.
Sorry, 3.
Okay. Green,
I'm not sure who 2 is.
okay, we'll come back to you, Green. Mo, can you let Green know who candidate number 2 was, and I'll come back to Green.
Yeah.
McNeil,
3.
okay. And then I need to circle back around to Perry, candidate number 2.
4.
Green, are you ready?
I am. I gave him a 6.
Candidate number 3. I give you time to find candidate number 3.
Who did you call?
Candidate number 3.
Okay. Oh, I was just waiting. I didn't know what name you had called.
Had not called the name yet, giving everybody an opportunity to find number 3.
Okay.
But you're up, Mrs. Wright.
That's what I was hoping I hadn't missed my name. 6.
Perry,
2.
McIntosh,
5.
McIntyre,
You're muted.
3.
4.
Sorry, I can't. 3.
okay. Green,
7.
McNeil,
4.
candidate number 4, Mrs. Wright,
5.
Perry,
3.
McIntosh,
6.
McIntyre,
9.
Green,
6.
McNeil.
9.
Candidate number 5, Mrs. Wright,
6.
Perry,
3.
McIntosh,
8.
McIntyre.
3.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time for me, McIntyre?
3.
Thank you. Green,
8.
McNeil,
4.
candidate number 7, Mrs. Wright,
5.
Perry,
1.
McIntosh,
4.
McIntyre,
9.
Green,
5.
McNeil,
4.
candidate number 8, Mrs. Wright,
5.
Perry,
3.
McIntosh,
6.
McIntyre,
9.
Green.
9.
Green, can you say that one more time, please?
9.
Thank you. McNeil,
8.
candidate number 9, Mrs. Wright,
9.
Perry,
9.
McIntosh,
I'm having an issue. I can't find number 8. Wait a minute. Oh,
We're on,
oh,
right? We're on number 9.
We're on number
Yes.
still
9.
number 9. Okay.
Number
Let me
9.
try to. I can probably figure it out though, because that'll probably be the only one without a number. Hold on.
Mo can let you know if you need help.
Oh, okay. I have it. I have number
Okay.
9. 10.
McIntyre,
And we can't do 0, right? It's 1 through 10, correct?
yes,
Correct.
ma'am,
Yes.
that's what I have, yes.
Yes, okay. Just clarifying. 1.
Green,
6.
McNeil,
9.
candidate number 10, Wright,
4.
Perry,
5.
McIntosh,
I'm sorry. What candidate are we on?
10,
Okay, let me see. This one ain't got no number. Hold on. 1. I think this is. Let me see. Make sure. My people mixed up. Okay, this is right. Okay, give 9.
McIntyre,
8.
Green,
6.
McNeil,
5.
candidate number 11, Mrs. Wright,
8.
Perry,
4.
McIntosh,
No. Look like I might be missing the whole. Wait a minute. You said candidate number what?
11,
Okay, hold on. Oh, 8.
McIntyre,
10.
Green,
7.
McNeil,
7.
And wait a minute, I made a mistake. I made a mistake on number 11. I see a 10 for number 11.
I got it. Candidate number 12, right?
9.
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
9.
Thank you. Perry,
9.
McIntosh,
9.
McIntyre,
1.
Green.
I need help with 12. I'm not sure who 12 is, so I'm texting Mo.
Okay, thank you. I'll come back to you. McNeil,
8.
and I'll pause for a minute, Board Member Green.
Okay, I'm ready.
You ready?
Yep, 6.
Board members, if we can pause so that I can tally all of the numbers, and then I will give you the top 3.
Yes.
Thank you for your patience, board members. The top 3 candidates. Candidate number 9, 11, and 12. Board President, I will turn it back over to you.
Okay, let me pull my script back up. I'm looking at my tallies. Just a second, ma'am. I got it right here. Oh, no, I don't. Okay, here it is. The board would like to thank all applicants for coming today and participating in the interview. We are pleased with the number of people interested in serving as a board member for the Flint Community School District. Board members, we will now narrow down our top 3 candidates. Members, as I call your name, please state the name of your overall final candidate. Okay.
I'm sorry, that's for after the second round. That's
Yeah, so
that's
so it's no literature in here for the second round. Okay.
nope. This is where you're gonna take your candidates that were selected and you're gonna do your second round of one more question to
Right.
each of them.
Okay. At this point, we'll start our second round of questioning in our interviewing process. At this time, Stephen, we're going to ask that you line it up for our 3 candidates to be let back in so we can interview them.
Yes, ma'am. I do have them all. They are all still here.
Okay.
It appears that number 11 and 12 are the ones we have issues getting into a panelist. Therefore, I'm not able to open the camera.
Okay.
Is there a preference, or do you just want me to go in numerical order?
You can just go in order. What is the pleasure of the board? I don't have a preference.
Do you want to go in order or do you want to do random again?
You can do random. Do random. Just
Okay.
by number, you know.
Okay, give me 1 second to load those 3 numbers in my app.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, I see this down here. Oh,
All right, here we go.
okay. At this time, we'll start our second round of questioning with our first candidate. What number is this? Do you
First
have,
candidate,
Superintendent?
number 12.
Okay.
Okay. First candidate is Billy Mitchell.
Okay. Thank
Ms.
you.
Mitchell, feel free to unmute
The first
yourself.
Okay.
I'm on mute.
Okay. Okay. You're there, Ms. Mitchell?
I'm here. Yes.
Okay. We are starting the second round of questioning. I will ask you the first question. And the question is, in these challenging times that we're facing this year, why have you decided to be a part of the decision-making process?
During these challenges that we're, oh, I'm sorry. Were you still talking?
No, that I was going to just say decision-making process concerning the school board.
Okay, the decision-making process concerning the school board.
As it
I'm always
concerns
up
our
for,
school.
okay. I'm always up for a challenge. I don't tend to back down from challenges. They actually motivate me to see the goal and the final product accomplished. And so what made me decide to choose to become or want to be a part of the board is overall, I see that, being a mother and having children that were in Flint schools, I see the lack of resources and I see how the district isn't flourishing as when I was a student, and I would like to be a part of that change. I know that I have a lot of assets that I could add to the process and the board in order to see those changes be implemented. I know that I have a lot of knowledge, and I have a lived experience as a parent, not only a parent, but as a Flint school graduate and a Flint native and resident. And so if anything, I chose to continue to live in my city. I could have moved anywhere in the world, but I'm still here in Flint because I know that my calling and my mission is to help our city recover. And so that is the ultimate reason why I chose to, during this time, be a part of the decision-making process as far as the board is regarded.
Thank you. Awesome. Our next question will be asked by Ms. Vera Perry.
What are the biggest challenges facing public education today?
The biggest challenges facing public education today is funding. It all boils down to money. for some reason, inner city schools are shortchanged when it comes to money. There are outer county schools and charter schools that figure out ways to take our money. And so I believe that it all revolves around funding. If we don't have the funding, we can't hire the teachers. We can't give teachers salary increases. We can't have books for our students. We can't have music class. We can't have extracurricular activities. There are so many things that are made unavailable to our students and to our staff if we don't have funding. Our buildings also being an issue and being not up to code or up to par as they should be. So I think it really does all boil down to funding and also getting those services that students may need, special needs services, etc.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Our next question will come from Ms. Diana Wright.
You know, when we discussed our questions earlier, I chose a question, but I would like to change that question, but I will ask the same question of all three candidates, if that's okay with everyone.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Working effectively with other board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team, and what is your vision for education in this community?
So I see myself, again, personal aside, being professional and working with other board members and the superintendent. I view myself as a team player, and I have a very strong passion for whatever our whatever our goal is. I tend to be tunnel vision on getting that accomplished. And so I know how to put the personal aside, and I know how to focus on making sure that we are cohesive and working to get to that established goal, no matter what other obstacles try to get into our way. And it was a two-part question. Can you?
The second part was, what is your vision for education in this community?
My vision for education in this community, again, going back to when I remember our school district being flourishing, when we had all the different programming and resources for our students. I've said this before. I remember my students, they went to CTM, Durant Tremont, and they didn't have books to even bring home to study. Something as simple as books that I remember having a book bag full of books going home from Freeman Elementary. My vision is to make sure these students have the resources that they need to be successful beyond school, not just in school, but prepare them for the future, be it when they graduate. That was a good question Ms. McNeil asked earlier. When they graduate, what type of skills do they need? I believe they need life skills such as money management and time management and career preparedness, and technology is really taking off in the work via Zoom, etc. I really want to make sure they're prepared not only currently, but in their futures as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Our next question will come from Ms. Danielle Green.
What qualities, skills, and experience would you bring to the board?
The qualities and skills and experience that I bring to the board are that of compassion and empathy. The skills that I have a mentoring program for youth girls that are 8 to 14 years of age. And so I've developed a lot of relationship with the youth and their families. And so I get firsthand what children are wanting and what they're desiring. I sometimes think that just being adults, we don't really listen to their voices and what they need, that what they feel they'll need to be successful. And so I think that's a good skill I have relating to youth. The qualities I feel that I have as far as my public health background and bringing things such as healthy school plan management to schools. I know once we do in-person learning, again, we're going to have some type of plan for the children to be in a safe environment as far as the virus, but you don't think about things like air quality and how that can affect the environment in which how the disease spread, etc. So I know that's a skill and quality that I have that I can bring to the school board, as well as my experience with going to Lansing and speaking with legislators about having education on the forefront of the state's agenda. So yeah, that's what I believe I can bring.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next question will come from Miss Dr. Joyce McNeil. Hello,
Can you
Dr.
hear me?
Joyce.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, Ms.
Okay.
Mitchell. My question for you is, what do you think are the most important skills for students to have when they graduate?
The most im-
The most
the
important
most
skill.
mhm. The most important skills that I believe students should have when they graduate, again, it's being prepared for real life, as well as, you know, their higher learning experiences. I think that they should have time management and finance management, and like I said before, career preparedness, maybe a trade that they could have while they pursue their higher education, or while they pursue entrepreneurship. I'm sorry, while they pursue maybe becoming business owners. I think having a trade, having life skills, and then again having some type of introduction into in-depth technology. Like, we have our parking meters that were just installed downtown Flint. They're ran digitally. Everything is revolving around digital. I think if Flint students had that advantage of technology, I really believe that they could be leaders in this world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next question will come from Ms. Laura McIntyre.
Hi, Ms. Mitchell. My question is, what is your understanding of how funding works for the Flint schools, and your understanding of what your role is in this process?
So I understand that we have supplemental funding from the state. We have bonds, and then we have tax funding from property tax, which I believe was changed some years ago on millage. But those are the sources that I believe that Flint schools are funded by. And what was your second part of your question?
How do you understand your role in this funding process?
And my role, or my understanding of our role, would be to oversee the budget and making sure that we are not overspending and staying within our means, to make sure that our operations are run as best as possible, our salaries are paid, and our programming is there for our children. That's the best of my knowledge for our budget.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mitchell, for your time. And I suppose we'll have Monica contact. We'll have Monica contact you, win or lose, or however it goes. And we thank you for your time and your support. And we look forward to seeing you or hearing from you soon.
Yeah.
Board President, next we have candidate number 9.
Okay. Candidate
All right.
number 9.
Candidate number 9 is Adrian Walker. Mr. Walker,
Okay.
feel free to unmute yourself.
I done lost my question.
And we can try this again. We had some technical difficulties.
Okay, good. I gotta find my question.
This is Adrian.
There we go. Okay, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just dialed in by time.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Our first question will come from Ms. Vera Perry.
Okay. What are the biggest challenges facing public education today?
I think one of the biggest challenges, especially as it relates to the Flint area, it always points to the decline in terms of the student population, right? You look at the span of over the last 10 years, we've had a loss of 9,000 students when you look at the county as a whole, you see that the county's population is declining, and we're getting older as a county. So when you talk about public school as a whole, that factors into, again, how we are funded and how we move forward. I also think there's some challenges around, quality teachers within the classroom and certain metrics that are used to hold them accountable as it relates to the instructions that they're dealing with our kids within the school system.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next question will be asked by Carol McIntosh. In the challenging times that we're facing in this year, why have you decided to be a part of the decision-making process as it pertains to the Flint Board of Education?
To be honest with you, I think, and it's there's a little bit of irony because today is MLK's birthday, but I'm thinking about the fierce urgency of now, and we've all heard him say that. But for me, if I wanted ease, I would have stayed out on the East Coast and just kept my life. When I applied for this position, I can't tell you how many potential calls I received from people saying, hey, you may want to rethink this, you may want to run the other way. But for me, I wanted to sign up for this opportunity to be a part of the decision-making process because I believe I bring a unique perspective from both a policy lens, from a business lens, but more so from a governance lens in terms of being able to ask the right questions to make sure that we have the right oversight in place as we are moving forward with, decision-making that we're doing at the board level and how things will move forward towards the future.
Thank you so much. Our next question will be asked by Ms. Diana Wright.
Welcome back, Mr. Walker. Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team? And then a second part of the question is, what is your vision for education in this community?
So for me, I see myself working with the board very well. At the end of the day, I'll be the first one to say that we won't agree on everything, but the one thing that I will say that I will bring into that decision-making process is not only accessibility, but the ability to communicate and find where that middle space is, where, your wants and my wants overlie with each other. And within that space, I feel like we can get things done, things accomplished, and at the end of the day, take ourselves out of the equation and literally move the school district forward, because that's what it's about. It's about restoring, Flint community schools and bringing that back to the forefront and making that a place where folks want to send their kids. And in terms of when you ask the second question, in terms of what is the vision for education within this community, I immediately jump to education attainment at all levels. But for me, I'm reminded of the governor's, I believe it's a 60 by 30 campaign, to where she says she wants 60% of residents within the state of Michigan to have either a high school diploma or post-secondary certificate by the year 2030, because the one thing that we all know is with a high school diploma, you become a lot more employable, and the higher your education, the more that you tend to earn and become a productive citizen within the community. So for me, a high school diploma is basically the floor, right, for anyone. And college is amazing. Again, I had a chance to go off, but I also recognize, as so many other candidates have mentioned, that college isn't for everyone. But again, I believe that a high school diploma is key towards building that foundation for wherever you see yourself going. If it's college, if it's skilled trade, whatever that may be, I think the high school diploma is a foundation. So just imagine, if I'm a kid and you realize, hey, it's expected. There's an expectation there now that if I, attend these schools, I am going to get a high school diploma, and this high school diploma will take me on different, pathways, whatever I choose. But now you've instilled that expectation, not just within seniors, but through every school level, and that changes parents' thinking as well. And I think it ultimately impacts the city of Flint. I always say, as the Flint School District goes, so does the city of Flint.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next question will be asked by Ms. Danielle Green.
What quality, skills, and experience would you bring to the board?
So I think professionally, I know that I'll bring a sense of, my policy background. As I mentioned before, I spent 5 years working in D.C. on Capitol Hill for a United States Senator. I got a chance to see education policy right up close and in person. I've also spent time in Lansing doing the same in both the State House and also within the governor's office. And then locally, I've had a chance to get involved on the policy level. Beyond that, the greatest asset that I would say that I would bring on a professional side is the business lens, right? Working at a Chamber of Commerce, I have the opportunity to literally see things from cradle to career as we run the after school programs within the city of Flint. And then also, again, I'm hearing constantly from employers about, hey, with this aging workforce and with the population decline, we are worried that, again, who's going to fill these jobs? And so, again, it buckles back down to schools, and it buckles back down into attraction and retention of talent from those lenses. And then personally, again, I mentioned this before, but I think, again, just the lived experience as an African American male who, yes, I left after college and I got a taste of life within DC, but decided to come back home while I was young to give back to my city. I didn't come back and immediately run for office, but I came back. I got involved in my community as I sit on a number of different boards, and I gave back to a number of youth who was like myself, grew up in a single parent home where mom was there and dad wasn't. Unfortunately, we all know that that's a lot of people's stories in this community, both black and white. But for me, again, having the opportunity to make it out and make something of myself, it was up to me, I felt like, to come back home and give my city a return on the investment. So I think with those skill sets, I would be a great candidate and a great addition for the board.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Walker.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question will come from Dr. Joyce McNeil.
Hi, Mr. Walker. My question for you is, what do you think are the most important skills for students to have when they graduate?
Thank you, Ms. McNeil, for that question. I believe, Billy, she made some great references earlier as she was talking about, some of the skill sets that kids should have when they graduate. When I'm engaging a lot with, the employers who are looking to employ our graduates, one of the main things that I'm hearing is that, hey, these are some of the most sharpest students that they've ever come across. However, there's that soft skills that are missing, right? These kids are wizards, and that's great, but the soft skills are missing. So I think that's one piece. But the other thing that I'm inspired by is when I have a chance to go into some of the elementary schools, and I talk to some of the elementary school students about their entrepreneurship at the young age of maybe first and second grade. Their minds they're essentially dreaming with their eyes open, and they have unlimited potential. So I think as long as they take that coupled with the soft skills that maybe they can develop in terms of how to present themselves, I think that's key on top of STEM and sound education from literacy and writing as well.
Okay, great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McNeil.
And our last question will McIntyre.
Hi. My question is, what is your understanding of how funding works for the Flint schools and what your role is in this process?
So thank you for your question, Ms. McIntyre. I'll answer the latter part of the question first. I think our role is to definitely oversee the funding, especially the budget, to make sure that everything is balanced. I think there's a state law has a responsibility that we maintain a balanced budget that's not in deficit. In terms of my understanding of how the funding works, for me, I would be looking at three things. Essentially, I'll be looking at the fund balance. I'll be looking at the revenues and expenditures and seeing, do those things equal, or are there some overlays that lead us to deficit? And if so, then I think we have to look at all potential possibilities of how do we make sure that we balance our budget and, we give the schools the confidence and the teachers and the administration that they need to move forward on a continuous basis. I think for me, I wouldn't take a Band-Aid approach. I will look to do something that is sustainable, something that, again, can be built on top of.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McIntyre.
Okay, this concludes our second round. We have one more candidate. Please hang around as we do our final tally. And thank you so much for your time and interviewing with us.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, it looks like, so I believe our last candidate was candidate 11, correct?
That is correct.
All right, candidate 11 is Alec Gibbs. We also have the same issue as far as the camera goes, but Mr. Gibbs, you're unmuted and we are ready to proceed.
Okay, hello again.
Hi, how are you today? Again. The first question that I want to ask is, in the challenging times that we're facing this year, why have you decided to get involved on the decision-making process as it concerns the Flint Community Schools?
You know, the primary reason is because I've seen the kind of rocky difficulties that Flint Community Schools have had, especially in the last decade, in my time just as a community member. And I think that when the previous superintendent announced the closure plan, I really saw that as that I understood hadn't been vetted by the board, and there were all sorts of problems with that. But I really understood at that moment that we were dealing with a near-term possibility, even likelihood, that the state was going to come in and potentially dissolve Flint Community Schools down the line. And I think realizing that there's that pressing need there, and also, you know, I think for me professionally, I do think that it's important that the school board have, if at all feasible, somebody who understands the law and the potential liability that the board faces for various decisions, and can make some informed comment. And you know, I'm married to an educator. I hear about schools problems all day long. I'm well aware of the difficulties that we've seen in terms of public education in the state of Michigan. And I just decided that it's, you know, my role in the private sector has been to primarily be an advocate for people in all sorts of areas. You know, that's included students facing disciplinary issues or having issues with individual plans. It's included teachers. It's included administrations. And I've worked for, you know, municipalities in the past on personnel issues and on all sorts of issues. And I think I just realized I have to do something. You know, it's in a time of crisis, that's when we really need to pull together and give our best effort. And I think my best effort here is offering my expertise and my experience to the, you know, Flint Community School Board of Education.
Thank you. Our next question will be asked by Ms. Vera Perry.
I just pushed something I shouldn't have pushed. Wait a minute. What are the biggest challenges facing public education today?
So I think that the biggest challenges facing public education have been the biggest challenges for a while, and they're funding and the vestiges of both past inequalities throughout our society, as well as inequalities that do exist presently in the educational system. And, you know, unfortunately, I understand there are a lot of limits to what an individual board of education, an individual board member can really do to address those issues. But I think those are the things that have to be kept in mind in the back of our heads at pretty much all times, because, you know, public education ultimately is there to not only produce students who meet the basic competencies, but we're producing future voters, future community members, people who need to be able to take part in civic life. And so I think, you know, we're going to face the issue of funding and existing inequalities in resources, that's going to be I think, the problem facing schools for the foreseeable future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next question will be by Miss Diana Wright.
Okay, Mr. Goodness, lost his last name, just went right out of my head.
It's Gibbs.
Well, it's been a long session, so I apologize for that. Oh, Gibbs, just pop back in, Mr. Gibbs. Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skill in communication and decision making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team? And the second part of the question is, what is your vision for education in this community?
So in terms of how I see myself working with the leadership, I have to employ communication skills daily in my job. I'm involved in mediations, a lot of kind of alternative dispute resolution areas of the law. So I'm accustomed to working with all sorts of people on all sorts of problems. And I think that, I'll continue to be able to do that. I've certainly done that in the past with the boards that I've served on, and I think I'll do that well into the future. In terms of the vision for education in Flint Community Schools, we need to be a thriving community school district. We have so many resources here, and we have to leverage those resources that we have. We have very committed community members who want to go out of their way, I think, to assist us. I really see Flint Community Schools' future vision of being one that, we need to work to make sure that we're fulfilling the vision, the basic vision of public education generally, to create, safe, healthy, analytical, talented graduates who contribute to the community, and vice versa. We end up with a community that contributes to the school district, and that's really what we've got to do. We've got to find a way to not only stem the decline in students, but also do everything in our power as a board to make this school district one that people want to move to, want to enroll their children in. And that's kind of how I see it moving forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Our next question will be asked by Ms. Danielle Green.
What qualities, skills, and experience would you bring to the board?
Okay, so what quality, skills, and experience I would bring to the board? I think it includes, I have an educational background in public policy. I have public policy experience. I have significant legal experience in a wide range of areas that are relevant for board service. And as I've said before, I'm accustomed to working in areas with diverse groups of people and with tricky subjects, and including areas of educational law. I think one of the advantages that I have is when I hit the ground running, I know where to look for regulations, for laws, for policies. I know kind of how to analyze those things in the context of Flint Community Schools. I know who needs to be consulted on certain problems that arise. If it's something that's beyond my skill set, I at least am going to know who I need to turn to and open up a dialogue with to resolve a problem. And I think at the end of the day, I'm going to be able to assist the board a lot in understanding some of the long-term consequences of decision making that might not be, attorneys aren't consulted for everything, but sometimes things that the school district does can have legal consequences down the road. And I'm going to be able to give that perspective. And I think based on my read of Flint's history, that's a perspective that would be valuable on the Board of Education.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next question will come from Dr. Joyce McNeil.
Hi, my question is, what do you think are the most important skills for students to have when they graduate?
So, yeah, this gets back to kind of what I was talking about with public education generally. I think, Flint has a lot of great offerings for students now, not only in the core curriculum, but in the expanded kind of community education programming. But really, what we're looking to do, probably the biggest issue is we have to produce, students who are ready to enter into the world. And that doesn't just include the workforce, it includes that. So they need to be able to do things ideally like balance checkbooks and the like. They need some basic math and science skills, and they need to be able to read and analyze things, critically, because we're sending them out with the understanding that, they've been in the board's charge in a lot of ways for, by the time they get to graduation, over a decade, and they need to be ready to, live good, safe, healthy lives as contributing citizens. And that's something that we need to do for every single student. And that's where public education is just so distinct from what ultimately effectively happens with charter schools and with private schools. This is a kind of solemn or holy duty on the part of the community to provide these opportunities for all students. And so that's what it always comes back to that at the end of the day. We have to be there to provide the only truly public, free, comprehensive education for all students in the community of Flint. That's our task, and that's what it's ultimately all about. So that's what we need to aim for. And I think that's one of the real key challenges moving forward is, there are going to be resource differences between Flint schools and other schools. And as a board, we have a limited ability to counter that, but we do have some ability to counter that. And we need to take every opportunity to be advocates for these students, to bring in money if we can, to explore sources of funding to enhance their education. And we need to make sure that they are ready to go once they graduate from FCS. And at the end of the day, the biggest kind of overall component for me is they need what is necessary to ensure a successful life as a participating member of a democratic community. In many ways, education is the backbone of our entire democratic system. And I think that we're seeing that's one of the reasons that public education is so under assault. And that's one of the things that we need to be focused on as we move into the future.
Okay, thank you.
And our last and final question. Pardon me? Okay, our last and final question will be from Ms. Laura McIntyre.
Hi, Mr. Gibbs. My question for you is, what is your understanding of how funding works for Flint schools and what your role is in this process?
The primary role I see for a board member is oversight of the various funding streams, including making sure that the budgeting process is being followed closely in connection with Michigan law and any agreements with the state of education through the Department of Education. I also see, our role as community advocates for increased funding to public schools. We need to explore all potential avenues for increasing revenue to distressed schools, especially. We need to explore, I think that, one area is to look at any ways in which we can increase funding, or if there's been anything that's been done on the state's end that is deficient. That's something we need to be looking for. in terms of our role primarily is going to be as basically trustees for the school when it comes to its assets, which includes obviously those funding streams. And we've also got to figure out how we're going to make, I agree with Mr. Walker on this point, we need to come up with a plan that nothing that we do is going to magically transform FCS into a school without declining enrollment or that doesn't face these crises. But what we need to look at is what can we do that at least gets us on a path where we're going to stabilize enrollment declines, stabilize funding sources, work with the community to do anything that we can to attract enrollment increases, to attract additional revenue streams. And we need to be pretty comprehensive about that because that is going to involve working with a lot of existing partners and maybe, asking the administration to assist with identifying new potential partners and new potential sources of income. Everything needs to be on the table when it comes to ensuring that FCS fulfills its function. And, we can't, there's a limited amount that we can do to change those revenue streams. Our job is to do the best that we can with the existing streams and to come up with a plan where we're stable into the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This will conclude the interview process. At this point, the board would tally and deliberate and come to a conclusion on who will fill the vacancy for the Flint Public School Board. At this time, I don't know. At this time, Monica, do you think we should just give our numbers like we did last time, then, huh? And tally? Miss Perry, what do you think? Because that's what we said we tallied the second time, right? The second round.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Are you ready, Board President?
I am ready.
Okay. I will start with candidate number 12. Candidate number 12. Give you time to find that person.
Oh, shucks, I forgot to put that.
And I have a new sheet.
Okay. And we can say their names now, right?
Excuse me?
Can we say their names now or no still?
I think you should hold up on the name.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Candidate number 12, we're going to start with McNeil. McNeil, are you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm back. 7.
Green.
6.
McIntyre.
I'm still looking for who that number is because I got my candidate number. What candidate number 9? Okay, I have
12. 12. We're on candidate number 12.
I think at this point we should probably just go with the names because people are just confused. I mean, they're there. We can ask them if they mind.
Because I'm getting mixed up at this point because I didn't put everybody's number like I should have, and then I wrote my number that I scored by their name, and so that kind of been tangled things up for me. I'm sorry. Or give me a chance. Here my notes are. I just have to flip back and I can see. You said we're on candidate number
12.
12. Okay. Just 1 second. Here I come, y'all. What? Okay, can you go to somebody else while I find it, please, ma'am?
It's McIntyre.
I
One.
thought you said McIntosh this time.
No, ma'am. McIntyre. I'm sorry, McIntyre. Did you say one?
Yes, one.
Now it's McIntosh.
Okay, we'll go to the next person until I find my paperwork, please, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I sure will. Perry.
You said Perry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 9.
Wright.
8.
Hold on.
McIntosh, let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. 9.
Okay. Candidate number 9. McNeil.
10.
Green.
7.
I'm sorry, say that again, Green.
7.
Thank you, ma'am. McIntyre.
And we're on number 9.
Yes, and it's Laura McIntyre.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Good.
That's okay.
1.
President McIntosh.
For number 9, and I give a 10.
I'm sorry, say that again.
10.
Thank you, ma'am. Perry.
10.
Wright.
10.
Candidate number 11. McNeil.
6.
Green.
8.
Laura McIntyre.
10.
Carol McIntosh.
8.
Perry.
4.
Wright.
5.
Okay. Board members, if you give me a second to tally up the candidates.
For clarity, board, are we adding the scores together from the round 1 and round 2 for these candidates, or just round 2?
No, just
No.
round 2.
Board members.
Yeah.
The candidate with the top rating, candidate number 9, Mr. Walker.
Okay. Do any board members have any questions before I continue?
Is he anywhere around?
I believe may still
He
be here.
called me, board, if I may, he called me and he had to step away, but he did tell me that he would be reaching out to me after you guys complete the vote.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Do any board members have any questions before I continue?
No, ma'am.
Seeing
Is
none,
dinner
I
time?
will proceed. It's dinner time. No, they got something else on here. I think this must not be for us, Monica, because you said this ain't for us, then, huh?
You now have to take a vote.
Okay.
Carol,
To
your
close
voice
the
is
session out. Am I taking a vote to close the session out at this point then? Because you have some more
No.
stuff. Okay, I see what's going on. Okay. Appointment of the Board of Education members. Fill the vacancy. I seek a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Adrian Walker to the Flint Board of Education vacancy. It has been, do I have him? I made the motion. I need a second.
You don't make the motion. You need a motion.
I'm seeking the motion. Right, I'm seeking the motion to make. I'm
So
seeking a
move.
motion.
So move.
Second.
It has been motioned and properly seconded. It has been motioned and properly seconded to approve Adrian Walker to fill the board vacancy. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion to appoint Adrian Walker to fill the board vacancy will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve the motion. Vice President Perry,
Yes.
Secretary Green,
Yes.
Treasurer McIntyre,
Yes.
Trustee Ellis McNeil,
Yes.
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
and myself, President McIntosh, yes. The motion passed by 6-0. Congratulations to Mr. Adrian Walker. Do any board members have any final comments before we adjourn? Our next regular board meeting will be held on Wednesday, January 20th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Seeing none further action, I declare this special board meeting adjourned. Have a good night.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.